afternoon. It's the Pit Stop. I'm your host, Stephen McCollum, and this week, we look back at Las Vegas here for the O'Reilly Series and Cup Series around NASCAR. IndyCar, on that inaugural race there at Arlington, and that was a good viewpoint there between Rangers Stadium, Cowboy Stadium, and over there in Arlington, Texas. It was a fun little race, and they built that track, basically they made that track for the Indy cars, and enjoyed especially the ending of that with, of course, the most dominant IndyCar racer out there. We'll talk about IndyCar coming up. They are off this week, and then they go, of course, to Alabama next week, and then they have some more times off. Big frantic start to the season for IndyCar, 3 out of 4 weeks, and then they'll get some breaks coming up here. Of course, the O'Reilly and Cup Series was in Las Vegas last week. Truck Series has been off for a couple. Get underway this weekend at Darlington Friday night as well. Of course, we'll look ahead to Darlington also here during the show. But I appreciate you joining me. You can catch us live, on demand here at Robat TV if you have your subscription. If not, hey, catch us on our YouTube page. TME Media AZ is where you can find our production shows there. McCollum on Business, The Main Event. Me and 17-year NFL veteran Dale Hellestrey for that show. And, of course, this Pit Stop there on the YouTube page as well. Catch us there. And we do have a podcast here for the for the Pit Stop as well. The Pit Stop Talk, or just search the Pit Stop with Steven. Pops right up for you on your favorite podcast system. For those of you that rather listen to us than look at me, of course, and see what we have to offer. Or you're driving around. I know a lot of you like to listen while you drive around out there as well. And then follow us at the Pit Stop Talk on X as well, as we get all the news out there between shows, and love to talk to you there as well. And, enough of that talking here, right? Let's get right back into looking back at Arlington for that IndyCar race last weekend. The scenery was fantastic, I thought. IndyCar did a great job building this track between there. They even did a nice little video leading up to it. It ends up being about, I think, 2 minutes long, where they did an IndyCar of the track and what the drivers can kind of see while they go around. And you got nice shots of those stadiums over there in Texas. And then we saw the race itself. Kyle Kirkwood did keep Alex Palou behind him for the final laps at Arlington. Of course, Kyle Kirkwood does get the inaugural win there at Arlington. Kirkwood took the IndyCar Series championship lead also by winning the race. And it's also his first victory of the season. Finished second here in Phoenix last weekend. The race ended under caution, which isn't my favorite thing. I do not like that about racing. But he did win it under caution, and Kirkwood did win it over 4-time series champion Alex Palou as well. And we all know Alex Palou has won the title the last 3 seasons, been dominant here in IndyCar. This was fantastic watching Kirkwood do his work out there to get that win there as well from them. Throw up the IndyCar finishing order, if you will. This will be IndyCar number 1. Just so people know, I just did top 15s here because there's some big names farther down, right? Kirkwood there in the first spot, Alex Palou in second. Look at Will Power. He has struggled this year with his new team, Andretti Global. Rebounded nicely here in this race. I thought he would have another bad race this weekend, start to turn it around after this race. I was incorrect on that. He comes in that third place finish for him. Then you got Ericsson there in fourth place. Pato O'Ward, he has had, like in Phoenix, he finished fourth. Here at this race, he finished fifth. Pato O'Ward is just outside, it seems like, from getting a win or a top 3 finish a podium finish for him coming up here. He is just on the outside to begin this season. Malakis there is in 6th as well. Lundgaard there in 7th. Scott Dixon finished 8th, and then Alexander Rossi in 9th. And then there you go with Armstrong in that 10th spot. Reason why I went out to 15 this week, Scott McLaughlin in 11th at Team Penske. And you keep going down there. Yes, and you get Josef Newgarden there in 15th spot with Team Penske as well after this race. And so there's some big names outside of the top 10 here as well here in this Arlington race. Andretti Global, as you saw there on the screen, they placed 3 drivers in the top 4 of the finish. And it was only a 70 lapper, but obviously 2.5 miles or so led to a longer race there as well. And you know, the shocking thing for me this weekend was one, not shocking on this point, but Alex Palau was unable to take over that lead like you expected him to. But also Will Power placing third this weekend after just some disaster starts to the season in the first three races. That is his first podium finish at his new team. Was at Team Penske for about 16 years and then struggled here at the beginning of this year with his new team. Marcus Ericsson did earn his first career pole on Saturday. He ended up finishing fourth there in the race. Pato O'Ward, as I said, man, he's just right out. It seems like he's just barely missing getting on the podium here in especially these last two races. He was finishing that fifth spot as well for him. So it was actually, I said 2.3. It was 2.73 mile circuit there, 14 turns there in Arlington as well. But it wasn't an easy victory for Kyle Kirkwood. No, Alex Palau and Kirkwood were running first and second throughout. And when both made their final stops on that preferred three-stop strategy that everybody was on, they made that stop on lap 49. Well, Alex Palau there, Chip Ganassi, they completed that stop in 7.7 seconds. Kirkwood had a little bit of issues in his pit. His pitting there took 9.5 seconds. It was all due to a slow change of the right rear wheel for Kirkwood, which means Alex Palau gets out of the pits there and takes the lead there. And both drivers, well, when they got back up to full steam on their outlap, well, Palau led Kirkwood by 2.2 seconds in that change there, lap 49.50 in that range. Kirkwood didn't waste any time, though, flexing muscle. He drove under Palau for a long distance in turn 13. That was near the end of lap 55. And he made that daring pass, a spectacular pass. He made it stick for the lead and ultimately went on to the win. Let's take a look at this pass here as well. IndyCar 2.
Palau's mirrors full of Kirkwood. Will he have a look down into Ranger right?
That would be a risky one. That's a difficult brake zone downhill. Not a lot of rubber on the inside.
But Kirkwood was so strong on the brakes coming into 14 on the lap before. Dare he have a look now? He does.
Kirkwood's the black car coming underneath now.
That is instinctive from Kirkwood, and that is the lead. Unbelievable. What a little contact as he moves to defend his position. Late on the brakes, last-minute dive. That's P1 for Kyle Kirkwood on the streets of Arlington.
I'll tell you, James, Kirkwood pretty lucky that Palau did him a solid and left him plenty of room. That would have been a big crash had Palau not left a gap.
And they're not kidding. Palau could have just stuck it to him, ran him into the wall. Both would have crashed out there, but he does respect him and give him that room. I mean, that is an amazing pass there on that turn 13 there to take the win, daring as well. On top of that, we did see some teammates crashing out. Josef Newgarden, told you he finished 15th, got taken out by his teammate earlier in the race as well. And then, Kirkwood's just driving with Palau behind him, trying to battle it out there, and then an accident happens. Rasmussen ends up going into some spinning out on the track, so a late caution happens, and that leads us to a restart here, which ends up being a green-white checker as well. So that means everybody's bottled back up again. And there's a rush for the win here with this restart. Here it is, the restart and the eventual winner, IndyCar 3.
We will go back to racing. Your order: Kirkwood and Palau, Power and Ericsson, Award, Malukas, Rosenquist, Lundgaard, Dixon and Rossi. That's the top 10, the podium positions. The race win itself, all to play for.
And with less than 2 to go, push to pass is immediately active on the restart. We do not have to wait till that first lap is done.
How much do they have, James?
Right now, your leader's got 43 seconds. Palau behind has 40, but then Power behind has 110.
Oh, man.
Because he was having to save fuel through turn 12 now.
Overtake is enabled now.
Could this yet be an Andretti 1-2? We're green. We're racing on the way down to 14. Kirkwood already stretching his legs. Rosenquist has a look at Malukas up the inside. Kirkwood with a massive wiggle.
Green-white checker.
Green-white checker. 1 lap to go. And there's your race leader, Alex Palau behind him. And we have a yellow.
Behind you.
I was wondering if we were going to be able to keep it clean. We were not. That's Dennis Haugard, that's Roman Grosjean, and Nolan Siegel.
I got destroyed.
I got destroyed is the call from Grosjean over the radio, but with the caution out, all he's got to do is cruise it around, and map 8, full save for Kyle Kirkwood.
So they do make him finish the race under caution and to make it official, but race ended under caution there as well. So course went yellow, obviously, after those two cars crashed there, and leaves Kyle Kirkwood with less pressure here, right? As with that yellow flag, you just had to finish it to make it official as well. I cannot stand yellow flag finishes in sports. At the same time, I have that love-hate relationship with NASCAR's, overtime rules as well. I guess you just can't keep me happy, but I would have liked to see Alex Palou and Kirkwood kind of battle it out to see who would win that race as well in that. But ultimately, Kirkwood does get the win as well. How does that shake up championship points? Well, let's take a look at them here. IndyCar 4, please. And Kyle Kirkwood does take the lead there with that victory. Alex Palou, after crashing out of Phoenix early in that race on lap 21, I believe. Well, he was down in the 5th or 6th spot here of championship racing last week. In the 2nd spot here with that 2nd place finish. I told you, Pato O'Ward right there in that 3rd spot right now with those 93 points. He just feels like he is on the verge of getting on that podium here with just finishing out of that podium these last few weeks. Joseph Newgarden here, 93 points, also tied with Pato O'Ward. Then Scott McLaughlin in the 5th spot right now for championship standings for him. Now, we're 3 weeks into the 3 races into the season here, so way too early to be counting championship points, but it is nice to take a look here and see where we stand. And Alex Palou not dominating early in the season here like he has in the years past. So maybe we're going to have a run for a championship here between multiple guys coming up for IndyCar. IndyCar is off this weekend. They get back on the track March 29th in Alabama. The Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix coming your way. Alex Palou won that race last year as well, but that comes out March 29th. Just to give you a little bit of a preview of IndyCar, because we usually have a race a couple weeks off to start the season. 3 out of the 4 races here are right now here of the IndyCar season. Then after the March 29th race, again, another week off. Then they go to Long Beach for April 19th. Then they go to Indianapolis, Indiana for the Grand Prix there on May 9th. Then they got the Indianapolis 500 on May 24th. Always that gap because you have Carb Day, qualifying, etc. for the Indianapolis 500. So big gap between those two. But there'll be on-track actions at Indianapolis. Then after that, they go straight to Michigan there on May 31st as well. So we're going to have some weeks off here for IndyCar coming up, but the exciting and leading up to the Indianapolis 500 is, of course, what we all look forward to as of now. Everybody's got to regroup here in IndyCar going into this weekend before going to Alabama. Does Alex Palou's team, which I'm not saying they're terrible, but do they find some magic that they've had these last 2 or 3 years? Kirkwood, Pato O'Ward, anybody else? Can they stick it and keep the pressure on the Palou team there and keep them, keep battling them for the championship as the season goes on? Is the questions we'll leave going into this break. Then you got the NASCAR O'Reilly and Cup Series. They were at that 1.5-mile oval in Las Vegas over the weekend. A little warm there in Las Vegas. As Las Vegas is funny. Watched millions of races there, obviously exaggerating a little bit. Been there a lot. It's either hot and sunny. It is either windy and cold, super windy and cold, or it's just freezing up there. And this one, they got good weather here this weekend in Las Vegas as well for the whole weekend with the Cup Series, the O'Reilly Series guys going on early on Saturday as well in this team. So let's go back and look at the O'Reilly Series race there in Las Vegas as well. Basically the story is the Cup guys racing in the O'Reilly Series. Now that's the story. And it's simply because of the winning order, right? Kyle Larson gets the win here in Las Vegas for the O'Reilly Series. Chase Briscoe finished second. Cup guys coming down and ultimately getting the win. For in terms of O'Reilly guys in this race, well, you've got Sheldon Creed here finishing third, Justin Allgaier in fourth, Sammy Smith in fifth, Jesse Love in 6 had a struggle of a day. We'll talk about that coming up later on. Of course, my pick to win that race. Connor Zilic there in 7th, coming down also as a Cup guy. Then Corey Day there in 8th. William Salwich in 9th. Austin Hill in 10th for him in this race as well. There were several cautions in this race. 8 cautions for 42 laps here. And guys were just kind of losing it, running into each other and crashing in this O'Reilly series. But ultimately, Kyle Larson getting the win as well for the O'Reilly series. You're going to see Kyle Larson a little bit more here on the O'Reilly series, filling in for Alex Bowman. We'll talk more about that coming up in the coming up later in the show as well. Kyle Larson did surge into the lead from the 7th position. That was after that final restart that happened on lap 154. Of course, this was a 200-lap race for the O'Reilly series. Larson did pull away to win the race at that point, and he's the 5th different winner of the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series this season. Larson was driving the number 88 JR Junior Motorsports team. I always joke around and call it JR Motorsports. And I forget sometimes I have to be professional here. Junior Motorsports Chevrolet is what he was running this weekend. Larson crossed the finish line in the race 2.557 seconds ahead of Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe had to recover from that brush with the outside wall and had a flat tire at one point to finish 2nd in this race. After the race, Chase Briscoe lamented a lot and losing that opportunity in order to beat Kyle Larson and getting the win there in Las Vegas as well. You know, other issues for other drivers out there. I mean, Sheldon Creed got into a little bit of a mix there toward the end. Justin Allgaier had enough speed to win there at Las Vegas as well. It was a good race here between the O'Reilly guys. The Cup guys ultimately get the win there as well. Jesse Love, my pick to win there in Las Vegas. Well, he ran 6th and finished 6th, I should say, in this race. He had one of the fastest cars in this race. One thing there screwed Jesse Love up here in this. It was kind of kept him out of the winner's circle. He would have contended with Kyle Larson and Chase Briscoe there to get the win. He led 36 laps. He was the first off pit road after stops on lap 120. The problem is, though, his team incurred a safety violation. A crew member was reaching for a tire, fell over the wall on the stop. Love had a restart last in the field, which was 32nd at that time, under penalty. You're not allowed to go over the wall if you're not an over-the-wall person. So he ended up going from 32nd on that penalty, fighting his way back up to the 6th spot. He had a missile of a car out there, folks, and it's kind of disappointed we weren't able to see a finish with him in not coming from the rear end after that pit issue. Here's so I went back and I found the video here. Of course, the O'Reilly series is on the CW, so let's give CW a lot of credit for what they do in their coverage here. Well, here's the pit issue as per the CW on Saturday.
So here they are on pit lane, but take a look at the top of your screen. That's Danny Stockman falls over the wall trying to catch the tire, Dylan. But was he supposed to be there?
Yeah, so that's the kind of other layer to this story. They had a pit crew member who was late getting out here, had some flight issues from what I understand, and Danny was kind of called in at the last minute to try to catch that tire. So not last minute for today. So not exactly how they drew it up, obviously, from everything. And here's some radio to tell more of the story.
Oh, it's because the tire rolled away, and I jumped over. I fell over the wall to get the mother. That's why. All right. We're gonna have to put our big boy pants on, Banesh. Go.
Jesse Love, man.
Jesse Love, sorry he asked what happened, right?
You gotta.
I'm sorry. That is classic right there. Heat's on, reaching for the tire rolled away from him. Look, he's just trying to get that tire. Fell over the wall, obviously go to last. Jesse Love asked the question. That was the response back to him. You saw kind of I call them arguments, but, you know, it's loud there. They have to be vocal. I don't know how much of the yelling is like anger, but they had to figure out what was happening in that situation and why that occurred. You know, look, he said, you heard that from the broadcast, which brings your perspective. Somebody filling in for somebody getting there late because of plane problems, that messes up this team. And it cost Jesse Love a chance there to stay competitive and win that race, instead coming in at 6th spot. And that's just racing, and things like that happen constantly here on the circuit. The CW earned 1,188,000 total viewers for Saturday's race there at Las Vegas. Now, CW gets these numbers from the Nielsen panel plus big data. That's the format they use there. It's the most watched Las Vegas race in 5 years for the O'Reilly Series. Viewership increased by 10% from last year's spring race, and it was held on the same weekend in Las Vegas. The total viewership peaked at 1.4 million people in the closing laps. That was 8 to 8:15 p.m. Eastern, so 5 to 5:15 p.m. here in Phoenix as well, where we record the pit stop at. Championship points, obviously a little bit of a shakeup here with the Cup guys. How much of a shakeup? Let's check it out here. O'Reilly 3, please, here. Championship points for the O'Reilly Series. Justin Allgaier with his win there in Phoenix and his, fourth place finish here. Still in first place. 133 points from the cut line. Jesse Love second, 120 with his sixth place finish for him. Then you got Austin Hill, 104 points up as of now with his early season wins. Sheldon Creed with his third place finish, even though you mixed it up into the wall a little bit late in that race, 84 points up from the cup line. Carson Kvapil, Sammy Smith, Corey Day, Raja Caruth, Parker Retzlaff, Sam Mayer, Brandon Jones, Taylor Gray there to finish out. 12 racers move on to the championship round or championship run when the playoffs happen later on. Outside looking in, well, William Solwich, 15 points out right now in that 15th spot for him. I do expect him and even Jeb Burton to be in contention for the playoffs here coming up. So who's going to move out is the bigger question. And, of course, we do have breaking news this week about one of these drivers we'll talk about here when the news section comes up. New driver is going to be out for a little bit with the suspension. We'll fill you in on that here on the O'Reilly Series here coming up as well. Other news out of Las Vegas, NASCAR officials have suspended the Big Machine Racing, well, their number 48 crew chief and car chief and engineer, all three of them, important members of a pit crew. They're going to be out for the next 4 points-paying races. A ballast actually fell out of the car, and this was on Patrick Sarapoli's car. A ballast fell out of it during the O'Reilly Series race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. They had to throw the yellow. That's a big part to fall out of it. And so 4 race suspension for those 3 critical members of the team there on the number 48 team there in O'Reilly. And that's not the suspension I'm talking about. We'll get into that when we get to news here coming up around NASCAR for one of those drivers as well. Next up for the O'Reilly Series, Darlington, coming up on Saturday. We'll look ahead to Darlington later in the show and kind of, Darlington's a nice little racetrack. The track too hard to tame, and it's going to be a fun little race there. Braking is huge for these guys. You start in the front here, and you tend to finish up close. We'll talk about that coming up. But the other guys in Las Vegas, well, obviously the Cup Series came through on Sunday as well. Denny Hamlin, what a rebound by Hamlin. He drove the dominant car, a very dominant car, to victory in Sunday's race at Las Vegas. The NASCAR Cup Series victory, well, it was Hamlin's first of the season, 3rd overall in Las Vegas, 2nd straight in Las Vegas as well, his 61st of his career. Good for 10th on the all-time list by himself now there in the 61st win as well. It wasn't all easy for Denny Hamlin. Brushed off a pit road speeding penalty at the first stage break. He rallied to lead a race-high 134 laps. He held off Chase Elliott and William Byron, of course, with Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolets there. At the end, he was able to hold them off as well, and who ran 2nd and 3rd in this race. Let's check it out. Here's the checkered flag lap here for Denny Hamlin's victory at Las Vegas.
Hard-fought effort out of the 9 car and Chase Elliott.
Well, he's been so quiet all year and put himself right there 4th in the points, and right now he'd be sitting 5th.
Look at that lead.
Denny Hamlin rounds off the corner. 61, no asterisk. Denny Hamlin wins his 61st career NASCAR Cup race and becomes the 5th driver.
Great job, T.A. Making things. This is easy, huh?
Now he held off William Byron Chase Elliott to get that win. No, he dominated that win, folks. Got up there as well. This is Hamlin's first win, if you don't know, since the championship race last year, which he didn't win the championship race, but that was the race where he was dominating that race. Late caution came up, pit issues, ends up losing not only the race, but the championship to Kyle Larson. This is his first victory since that disappointment happened, but it's obviously the first victory, if you don't know, over the offseason with his family, where the house fire happened. His dad had died in that house fire. His mom was burned and had a big recovery ahead of her as well. And Denny Hamlin, this is his first victory after that. Obviously an emotional win for Denny Hamlin, and not just him, but also his family. Get the Kleenex, folks, here. This is after the race. Denny Hamlin gets interviewed by Fox as they have the race. Here's Hamlin after the race. Cup 2, please.
Yeah, these are great opportunities for us, and this is.
Tell Mom to come on in, Jordan, baby boy.
Yeah, I mean, this is a family sport, and my family obviously had so much sacrifice to help me get here, and now that have grown in generations of Hamlins following me, and it's great that Mom gets to see this. I know Dad's still saying that's my boy. Hell of a day.
I mean, for finishing standards, that's a subdued Denny Hamlin in victory lane there as well, interviewing after the race. His first victory where his dad's not with us anymore. Mom was able to make the race with her recovery from that fire, and just an emotional win there. You can hear it in his voice as he tried to keep his composure for Denny Hamlin, and that's exciting. Now it's, you get that off your back here. Denny Hamlin's been fast in several races this year. Does he get that rebound here now and propel it with that emotional win out of the way? And, as he moves forward and use that as motivation to keep providing the wins here throughout the rest of the season. It's going to be interesting to see that perspective of things on Denny Hamlin. So let's throw up the finishing order here. Overall, we told you Cup 3. So we told you Denny Hamlin finished first, Chase Elliott second, William Byron third. Then you got Christopher Bell, my race pick. He just kept going. Well, I said this race was going to come down to him and Kyle Larson in this race. They were battling it out in the lead, trying to battle it out there with Denny Hamlin. Both ultimately fell backwards in this race. Christopher Bell at fourth. Ty Gibbs. So I picked the wrong Joe Gibbs racer to win this race with Christopher Bell. Ty Gibbs finished fifth. Chris Buescher, RFK Racing there in sixth. Kyle Larson fell back to seventh. Chase Briscoe to eighth. Bubba Wallace, who's having a fantastic start to the season here. The Bubba Wallace's finished ninth. Brad Keselowski, the other RFK driver, and he's the owner of that team, in the 10th spot for him as well. Tyler Reddick, who won the first three races, had a decent finish here in Phoenix last week. Well, he goes to Las Vegas there, and he finishes 13th for the 23-11 driver as well for him. Joey Logano, just no speed here in this race, couldn't get up to the front at all. Did finish 15th in this race as well for him. Guys, Shane Van Gisbergen, who's been having a good season so far on the ovals, he only got through 262 laps here in this race, as well, finishing dead last for him and his team, as he's had good runs here on ovals so far this year. Only 3 cautions for the entire race on Sunday. It was just a green fest there in Las Vegas, and you just saw Denny Hamlin, even with that penalty, kind of like what Ryan Blaney did in Phoenix last week. Penalties, schmenalties. We're just going to overcome it with our fast car and go and get the win. Las Vegas ratings, big for the Cup cars as well, like it was for O'Reilly. They got a 1.44 rating, which means 2.771 million viewers tuned in for the race there at Las Vegas as well. It was actually down 3% as well, 8% down as well. It had a 3.011 million last year, but still in that $2 million range, or 2 million viewer range, 2.7 million views. So down, but still in that 2.7 range here, because those numbers drop once it goes to streaming, or at least it did last year. The figure is up from last year's Cup average on Fox Sports 1. 2.5341 million was the average last year. And don't forget, these races are on FS1, not on Big Boy Fox right now. And the next several are on FS1 as well, which a lot of people have a harder time finding, believe it or not, but enough get out there. Other news around Las Vegas besides just look, I've never been a Denny Hamlin fan overall. Him and Kyle Busch are just kind of my guys. But look, how do you not root for a win here for Denny Hamlin with everything he went through from the championship race to his offseason? It is just, then you got the lawsuit, 2311 lawsuit that he was a part of as a part owner of that team. It's just a lot going on with Denny Hamlin, and to see him get that win. I don't know how you don't smile, even as hardened guys that just don't like him as a racer and his attitude. I don't know how you don't support him out there. Other news around Vegas, Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez, ex-teammates out there. Well, they have a disagreement on the track, and also after the race, they kind of got together to talk. If you call it talking out there. Well, Fox did a good job here. They got the video of the accident. They went and showed you what happened on pit road after the race as well. So let's check into that here between these two. Cut 4, please.
Of two guys that were formerly teammates of Daniel Suarez and Ross Chastain, now oppositions, but got into it on the track and then after the race as well.
Yeah, just a little bit of contact right here. I think this is actually after the race, coming back into the pits, and you see them arguing just a little bit. Look, they're former teammates. They know each other really well. Suarez obviously frustrated with Ross. It's just part of it. We actually have seen that here quite often in Vegas. I remember Logano and Kyle Busch years ago going at it on pit road. Yeah, I mean, it's just frustration, Josh. High levels are...
Did you ever have any of those with a
Josh,
teammate?
My 5'8" stature didn't do much fighting or shoving on pit road, no.
Arguments and disagreements. Yeah, that was on the cool-down laps is where that happened, but something happened obviously out on the racetrack where they have to talk about it. Ross wanted nothing to do with it, you saw it, kind of pushed him away and said, get out of here, pointed away. Something to keep an eye on here, keep moving forward. As Daniel Suarez used to race with Trackhouse and, of course, moved on after last year. So interesting to see and something to watch as this season goes on as well. And, what are these guys arguing about type of a situation? Well, you kind of have to question a little bit on what they're arguing about. Ross Chastain finished 17th. Daniel Suarez finished 18th in this race as well. So 6th, 17th, and 18th. Both Chevrolet drivers on top of it. We'll have to keep our eyes on that coming up as well. Championship points for the Cup Series after Las Vegas. Early in the season, but we check them anyway. Cup 5, please, if we could throw that up there. Tyler Reddick, sizable lead here, obviously, with his 3 victories to start the season. Bubba Wallace, look at that, 2 23-11 teammates. Right there in the top 1-2 spots here for the playoff push. Bubba Wallace hasn't won a race yet, but he's had a solid finishing place in every race this year. If he had second place. Ryan Blaney with his win in Phoenix, 71 points to that cut line. But in that 3rd spot, Denny Hamlin with his win in Las Vegas, 60 points to the cut line. In the 4th spot, Chase Elliott, no wins for him, but again, good solid finishes here for Chase Elliott. In that 5th spot, 51 points from the cut line. Then you got Christopher Bell, William Byron, Kyle Larson, who was out on the outside looking in just a couple weeks ago for Kyle Larson. Turns it around here and gets into this 8th spot right now. Chris Buescher, RFK, they're in 9th spot. Ty Gibbs, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, the other RFK driver and owner. Ryan Preece, they're in 13th. Michael McDowell, 14th. Carson Hocevar in 15th. Daniel Suarez there. He's technically tied with A.J. Allmendinger, but gets into that 16th spot with a tiebreaker. They're 0 points apart, along with Shane Van Gisbergen. Finished dead last in this race. He's outside looking in right now in that 18th spot. If he continues, Shane Van Gisbergen continues to run the ovals like he has so far this year until Las Vegas, he's going to be all right and be in contention for a playoff spot. And then you got Ross Chastain in the 20th spot right now, 23 points out of the races. I just don't know. It's Ross Chastain and Trackhouse. There's just something missing with Trackhouse where they can get some domination, get Ross Chastain back to the level that he needs to be at here to compete for these playoff positions and get into the playoffs here. Once we do the cut down coming up here. in several races. Still early, things can change. And when we come back here, well, we'll look at the news specifically around NASCAR as well. Lots of it out there. And then we'll look ahead at Darlington, make our picks. Truck Series back underway this weekend at Darlington Friday night. They'll do their qualifying and practice on Friday and then race Friday night as well. And then O'Reilly Series Saturday, Cup Series Sunday. Darlington's a fun little track, folks. And it comes down to, Bud, got to be in the front to win this thing usually. I got some stats for you. We pick a Cup winner. Come on back. We'll get into the news as well. Pit stop. And we're back here at the Pit Stop. Don't forget, follow us on X as well. The Pit Stop Talk is where you can find us. And, of course, TME Media. Follow that as well. It's just our production company, and we put out all the information about shows. That's getting up and ramped up. And we're going to get more posting on that as well around the shows we're doing and what we do here as well. As soon as we get done here, we put this up, Robot TV on demand. Of course, a YouTube page, TME Media, AZ on YouTube, where you can find it. We do have a Rumble page for a show we produce here called The Real Matrix. Well, we're going to start putting sports programming on that as well here coming up. Got everything created. We're just going to start uploading to it here probably over the weekend, so it's all ready to go into next week and everything. So check us out on Rumble if you're more a Rumble user than YouTube. That's TME Media on Rumble is where you can find that as well. So rumble.com/user/TME Media is when they'll pop right up for you. And that's for the Real Matrix is what we use there, which comes out, new episode, 10 a.m. here at Robot TV tomorrow morning, noon on Rumble. Free podcast systems for all of our shows, except for McCollum on Business as well. Just search the title. It pops right up for you. And if you follow TME Media, we're going to push all that out there. Or follow the Pit Stop Talk. Follow the TME Sports as well. They're on X. And, of course, Real Matrix. Just search the Real Matrix, Angry Patriot. That comes up for you as well and everything. So we look back, of course, to last weekend's racing, Arlington for IndyCar, who's off this week. And we've got Las Vegas there for the O'Reilly and Cup Series. Truck Series gets underway here at Darlington. Ooh, it's going to be a fun weekend as well and everything. So first, though, let's talk about news around NASCAR as a general sense here. Alex Bowman, it's officially official now. How long is he going to be out with this vertigo? Obviously, safety is the bigger issue here. But, Alex Bowman drives the number 48, Ally Chevrolet. And he's with Hendrick Motorsports. Well, he's not going to compete in at least the next 3 Cup Series races. He continues to recover from vertigo. So that means he's going to miss Darlington this weekend, Martinsville coming up next weekend, and then Bristol there on April 12th for him as the next 3 he's going to miss. Well, he began experiencing symptoms during that March 1st race at Circuit of the Americas, COTA. And he exited the car at lap 71. He had a temporary driver go in. And then he missed, of course, Phoenix Raceway and Las Vegas last weekend. as well. Justin Allgaier will continue to sub for Bowman in the Cup Series moving forward for these 3 races. And then what does that mean? Because Alex Bowman races certain O'Reilly Series races. Well, you just saw Kyle Larson fresh off of running that number 88 Chevrolet there in Las Vegas and getting the win. Kyle Larson is going to pilot that number 88 Chevrolet for JR Motorsports this weekend in Darlington Raceway as well. Alex Bowman was originally scheduled for his first of 2 starts in 2026. He's got Nashville Super Speedway on his track coming up as well. So Kyle Larson taking over here in the O'Reilly Series and running for, of course, Alex Bowman in that series as he's just trying to get healthy here so he's able to get back into the race car. And then kind of an update here in the lawsuit side of things. Got quiet a little bit. During Phoenix Week, we found out that Joe Gibbs Racing had hired a private investigation gator to follow Chris Gabehart around, and that's kind of how that led to this lawsuit. Well, on Monday this week, the lawsuit was basically there was heard arguments there by the judge about this lawsuit, and this was over those expedited discovery motions as well. This all happened Monday morning in front of the judge that's going to oversee this case. So basically, we need to expedite our things for the preliminary injunction. Joe Gibbs Racing wants one. Obviously, Spire Motorsports and Chris Gabehart do not want one as well. We know there's already a temporary thing out there where Chris Gabehart cannot operate with Spire in the same position he was at Joe Gibbs Racing while this gets settled. But these big arguments over preliminary injunction motion, but all parties in court agreed the discovery motion's importance was of greater priority than the injunction was, and then the results could affect the course of future hearings. So the injunction part of it was tabled, wasn't talked about at all. That was moved to the end of the month on should we get an injunction completely or not hearing. So now they're just arguing over the most discovery motions and what can be put in, what cannot be put in for an argument coming up here. That was all on Monday. We're waiting to hear from the judge on where we go from there as of right now. And earlier, look, this is going to be a fantastic lawsuit. I will tell you this. I was reading about earlier on Wednesday, I was reading that Joe Gibbs Racing has proof that a lot of stuff that Gabehart did take, well, some of it's been implemented by Spire Motorsports. Obviously, that's not a good thing if that's happened out there. So something to keep an eye on here, and obviously a report, from sources. So take it with a grain of salt. But this is going to be fascinating to see. How do you keep what somebody knows in their brain? Now, taking physical stuff's a different story. But how do you know taking stuff away from Joe Gibbs Racing? How do you get that out of your brain as you go to a new team out there is the biggest question. And earlier on in the show, I told you, there's an O'Reilly driver that's in a little bit of trouble out there. And Daniel Dye is who I was talking about. He's been indefinitely suspended. He made offensive remarks during a live stream on the online marketplace Whatnot. He races for Colleague Racing, and he was handling trading cards during the stream. He began recounting a story about meeting IndyCar driver David Malakis. While he was talking about the interaction, Dye did mock Malakis using a homophobic voice, and it was all captured, obviously, on the live stream, and people caught onto it quickly, and it spread throughout social media immediately at that time. NASCAR then was forced to and decided to issue an indefinite suspension. They're going to require Dye to complete sensitivity training before any reinstatement can be considered. He's got to go through the sensitivity training before they'll even consider letting him back into a Colleague Racing or anybody's car at that time. Colleague Racing also announced their own indefinite suspension of Dye, effective immediately after becoming aware of the comments as well. Now, Daniel Dye did apologize on Tuesday afternoon after this all came out, and kind of a lengthy statement, but I'll read it to you here. He said, "I want to first apologize to David Malakis. I recently went on a live stream with some friends and made some careless comments. I chose my words poorly, and I understand why it upset people. I'm sorry to anyone who was offended. That's not how I want to represent myself. He says, I have some close friends in the LGBTQ plus community who I would never want to feel less of themselves because of what I said, and that's exactly why I should hold myself to a higher standard. In talking with them, I realized that a true friend would know better than to act this way. Than act the way I did. Excuse me for messing that up. He went on to say, and for that, I need to be a better friend. What I said doesn't reflect how I feel about them or anyone else. I don't think enough before I spoke, and in no way meant any harm. I know that intention does not erase impact, and I need to do better. I'm taking this seriously, and I'm working on becoming more aware and respectful moving forward. I'm sorry to everyone I let down. I am committed to learning from this and better understand that the impact of my decisions can have on others. That includes educating myself, listening to those affected, and even taking meaningful steps to ensure my actions reflect respect and inclusivity going forward. I know I've got a platform and a responsibility, and I need to use it better, was his final words there before signing off as well. Indefinite suspension, all I'll say on this is thought he was with his buddies. That's how they talk, obviously, because it just came so easy to him. And that apology was written by a PR firm. That's what I got from that. And you cited hey, I've got friends in that community, so I can't be that way. Call me a little skeptical on that reporting there, trying to get back into a car as quickly as possible. Call me skeptical if you want to. But that's not somebody's writing. That comes from a professional side. And then you cite, hey, I've got friends there. Okay. Yeah. I'm just going to let that hang. Now let's look ahead at Darlington, NASCAR's oldest super speedway. Darlington Raceway has earned the nicknames the Lady in Black and also the track too tough to tame this weekend. This is a fun little track here. Small brakes come in huge here. Slamming into the corners. Everybody runs on the bottom of this racetrack. Not a lot of movement here. Not a lot of passing. There's passing, but not a lot of passing out there. Well, the Truck Series is back this weekend from a couple weeks off. How are they going to run with a couple weeks off? Well, we'll find out this weekend. Hey, since they've been off a couple weeks, let's remind you of the Truck Series standings after this break. Yes, right now, Chandler Smith in the first place spot. Ben Rhodes, Ty Majeski, Gio Ruggiero, Lane Riggs, Caden Honeycutt, Andres Perez de Laura, Stuart Friesen, Christian Eckes, Justin Haley there in the 10 playoff spots as of right now. Keep in mind, this is race 3 here of 18, so plenty of time to move around. Brendan Queen, who I think is going to compete for a spot. He's been impressive so far this season. Tyler Ankrum should be in the playoff conversation as well. What happens with Daniel Dye here in this 13th spot is the big question with his suspension. Jake Garcia and Cole Butcher on the outside looking in. Lane Riggs is on the entry list here for this race. I'm sorry, not Lane Riggs. I'm sorry. Corey Heim is on the race entry form here for this weekend. So we'll get to see him on the racetrack as well. Practice this on Friday night coming up. 3:30 p.m. Eastern, which is 12:30 here in Phoenix time. Qualifying then happens on Friday as well, 1:35 Phoenix time, which makes it 4:35 Eastern time here for qualifying. Then we go right into the race here on Friday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, which is 4:30 here in Phoenix. FS1 Fox gets you the race time there as well. Here's the questions, right? One, it's Darlington. It's a different type of a racetrack. Who comes into this race fresh after having a couple weeks off? Which teams have fixed some of the issues that have been off in the first 3 races? Who comes in and struggles after the off weeks? Who misses some adjustment sides of it? Who comes in a little bit of lackadaisical as a team? All things you got to wonder going into this race as well. A lot of questions coming into this truck race. Who's going to win? I don't know. All momentum from the first 3 races is off the table at this point with 2 weeks off. I'm going to go with the guy that put a lot of trust in. I picked him for a race earlier this year. Didn't disappoint me per se, but didn't get the win, but still had a good finish. I'm going to go with Ty Majeski this weekend, getting in there. He likes to be physical. We'll mix it up with people. And I think his experience here on this racetrack with the Truck Series, Ty Majeski gets the win here coming up here at Darlington this weekend. Then you got the O'Reilly Series coming up on Saturday as well. This is what I like about it as well. Practice Saturday morning. Well, morning our time here in Phoenix, 9 to 9:50 Phoenix time in the morning. Noon to 12:50 p.m. Eastern time. They go right into qualifying, obviously. 1:05 to 2 p.m. Eastern time, which 10 to 11 o'clock Phoenix time on that side. Then the race on the CW. Nighttime racing here at Darlington Raceway this weekend on Saturday. 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Phoenix time for the O'Reilly Series, of course, on the CW. I'm going to build off of Sheldon Creed's run there in Las Vegas. I know we're talking different tracks here. Sheldon Creed's had some serious momentum these last couple of weeks. I think Sheldon Creed, if he can stay out of the muck here, he's going to have a good qualifying session. We'll talk about how important that is here in a minute when we move over to the Cup side. But I think Sheldon Creed's going to qualify well. He's going to be in the front of this racetrack. I think Sheldon Creed's going to get his first win of the year here at Darlington Raceway there in South Carolina this weekend. So Sheldon Creed, my winner there. And then the Cup Series. For the Cup Series, Darlington is no longer a 500-miler. It's a 400-mile race in the Cup Series. William Byron, Denny Hamlin, they've won the last two poles at Darlington. Both will be strong in this race, especially Denny Hamlin coming back off of the win here at Las Vegas as well. But don't sleep on Christopher Bell. Don't sleep on Joey Logano this weekend. Someone to watch that, depending on how he qualifies, Chase Briscoe is in play this weekend. You want to look at a long shot here for odds to win this race for him. Darlington's a track where if you start good, you generally finish good. Meaning you don't come from the back here. You don't start 20th and then finish in the top 5 very often. Qualifying will be key this weekend for the Cup Series as well. Where's some things here to talk about in terms of what I'm talking about when it comes to that? Let me pull this up here. I apologize, folks, for not having it ready here. I got to cheat and pull up on my screen here what I'm talking about. Starting position and wins at Darlington. Now, this is encompassing over a lot of years, basically long life here of Darlington Raceway. So racing's changed over the years. But if you start in first, 16.28% chance of winning the race. Second, 15.50% chance of winning the race. Third place, 11.63% of winning the race. It gets exponentially worse the farther back you go. Just from third place with an 11.63% chance to win, fourth place, 7.75%. Fifth place, 9.3%. Sixth place, 3.88%. Now, ninth has a 6.20%. Eighth has a 5.43%. And then it gets worse again after that. You start in the 12th spot, by the way. Only one person's ever won in the 12th spot. 0.78% chance. 13th spot has a 2.33% chance. Folks, you start good in this race. You finish this race generally good as well in terms of the starting points. We can go a little bit farther here with the statistics as well. As I said, winning from the starting position, 16.54% here in this race. Just in the front row, first or second, 31.50% right now winning percent at that point. Be in the first row here, you have a 31% chance of winning this race. Winning from a top 5 starting position, 59% chance, 59.84% chance to win in this. Thanks to NASCAR Media for giving us these percents as well. You want to be in the top 5 after qualifying. You get an over 0.5%, 60% basically, chance to win this race, starting in the top 5. Top 10, you definitely want to be in the top 10. 83.46% chance to win this race. If you're outside the top 20, 4.72% chance to win this race. You need to qualify well here at Darlington in order to win this race and have a chance to win this race. Statistics tell you that. Does it mean you have to be and you can't do it otherwise? No, you can start outside and roll your dice and see if you can be one of the ones to get to that point, I guess. But winner, Depends on your qualifying position here coming up this weekend. When it Hendrick Motorsports, they can win these races over the years. They won it back in 2023 was the last time. Joe Gibbs Racing won the 2025 sweep, 2021 sweep, 2020, 2019, 2017. So Joe Gibbs Racing has a good time winning this weekend here in this race as well. Team Penske won it in 22, won it in 2018. Not as big of a chance here. I like Christopher Bell in this race. I do. I'm not going to pick him. Winner, just because we don't know the qualifying and how it looks and the starter ordering of this race here as we record this show, we have no idea. I'm going to stick my neck out a little bit here. This guy can obviously win it. This guy can easily do it. Now it comes down to the qualifying. Will he start toward the front? I'm going to go, instead of going Christopher Bell this week, I'm going to go Joey Logano to win this race here at Darlington this weekend. Denny Hamlin has a chance to win it this weekend. Christopher Bell has a chance to win it this weekend. I'm not too sure if any of the Hendricks guys will be able to get it done. Kyle Larson, I don't think so. Can Chase Elliott stay in the front here and get a win this weekend or a good finish? He's probably my best bet in terms of the Hendrick guys out there. But I do think this is going to be a Team Penske, a Ford, maybe an RFK. Chris Buescher might be rolling in the front there. But I'm going to go with a Team Penske member there, Joey Logano, getting the win here at Darlington this weekend. And, folks, looking forward to this weekend. It's always a special time. You heard my interview with Santini Ferrucci with IndyCar when they were here in Phoenix. He said he'd rather run the Darlington race than he would the Coca-Cola 600 because of the mystique around this racetrack. He ain't wrong. There's a lot of mystique around this racetrack. It's going to be a fun weekend. Sit down, watch the Friday night truck race. Get the O'Reilly race in on Saturday at nighttime under the lights. The Sunday race as well out there. It's going to be like high of 70, 68 degrees there in South Carolina. The weather's going to be there for these guys. It's going to be a fun, quick race. I'm looking forward to see what happens and out there. And Joey Logano to get the win on the Cup side as well. Folks, I appreciate you joining me. Don't forget, follow me at the Pit Stop Talk. Like, subscribe to the YouTube page, TME Media AZ. Reach out to me as well on the social medias, man. It's fun interacting with people during races as we do live tweeting and what we're seeing on the races. It's going to be a fun weekend, folks. We'll be back next week here on the Pit Stop. Come and join us, would you?